let's talk about Saleen again. We talked about Saleen a little while back when they were shopping for investors through Facebook, of all places. We dug into their sketchy history, sketchy company history. Well, a Facebook ad popped up again, even though the last one, they're like, oh, there's this deadline. It's round of funding. It's ending. It's last chance. Well, it wasn't their last chance. So they are looking for more money yet again to release their Saleen S1, which is their ground up developed sports car, race proven, yada, yada, yada. I pulled up the SEC filing because I was bored and I wanted to see what was really up with this funding request. It is a new filing for funding, and I'm just noticing something here. So they filed it. It looks to be April 30th, 2024 is the date of it. Now, I'm going to bring something up that I will admit that I didn't finish my research on this because I'm just noticing it now, but there's a interesting point in here that's relevant as to the date of this funding. We'll start off with their kind of like balance sheet. So they say their most recent fiscal year end, which most recent is kind of vague, like the most recent year that they filed taxes, or like this is 2023's financials. Because then the other one is just prior fiscal year end. So this could be like 2012. Total assets, $15.5 million, 37 grand in cash, 216 in accounts receivable. Short-term debt, $10.5 million. Long-term debt, $2.1 million. Sales revenues, $4.3 million. Cost of goods sold, $4.6 million. Taxes paid, 27 grand. Net income, $1.4 million loss. We're off to a great start here. Somehow the prior year, they had a $4.7 million net income, but I'm not sure how, because their revenues were $3.3 million and their cost of goods sold was $3.6 million. This is Carvana math.
I say there's some funny business happening in here.
Let's go through this. So they're looking for up to $3.9 million. They're doing this sale of common stock through a third-party intermediary, essentially a glorified, it's a crowdfunding place. It's like a glorified GoFundMe. But they did register with the SEC, and so we can view all these documents. It's pretty interesting. So their aggregate minimum offering amount is $10,000. Their maximum offering amount is $3.9 million. That's how much they're trying to raise through this event, is $3.9 million. Now, one of the interesting things here, and this is why this date matters, essentially, if they raise the minimum within this time period, which is $10,000, that constitutes a completed funding. So they do not have to give back any money. That is a finalized funding event. So if they raise less than their minimum, then it's considered no, this wasn't successful. All funds are returned. But if you raise $10,000 out of the $3.9 million, then okay, it's their money. They can keep it.
So I didn't get a chance to get through the whole doc that you sent over, but I was wondering why the minimum was so low. Did they just pick that out of a hat? Because $10K versus 3.9, there's a massive spread there. What are you going to do with $10K if you're Saleen?
Yeah, and somebody who is more well-versed in SEC filings may be able to speak to this, but I look at it just as, the idiot on the podcast, just looking for red flags, because this is what we do, because in theory, like we've analyzed with Carvana, like we've analyzed with some of the dealers who are going down, any person should be able to spot the red flags, because math is math and business math is fairly basic. And as soon as you start to complicate it, that's when you get into hiding things and doing funny things.
Yes.
But the balance sheet, the basics, anybody should be able to understand, even Michael Scott. What's interesting here is I wonder if they're just going to keep doing a bunch of rounds like this, right? So if this one was filed on April 30th, 2024, and they didn't get enough money last round to do this Saleen S1, well, maybe they just took the money and they're like, okay, well, you signed the disclosure here that investors, this is a highly risky investment, and, we completed the capital fundraising, so we get to keep the money.
To that point, there is a staggering number of text that is explaining to you all the different ways that this cannot be successful and you'll lose your money.
It is really staggering.
Like, the vast majority of the first 10 pages is this isn't guaranteed, that yada, we have substantial debt with substantial collateral supplied, this money may not be enough, we can pursue other stuff. My favorite quote was, more importantly, there is no established market for these securities and there may never be one. As a result, if you decide to sell these securities in the future, you may not be able to find a buyer.
This is more than boilerplate. If anyone's interested in reading this, it's crazy because this is not just your general kind of caveat emptor, you have a risk of loss. Yeah. This is crazy. They are talking about, they have to disclose their past businesses, the partnerships, the lawsuits. Let's see, substantial. The headings here are amazing. That's all you got to read. Heading, we may not be able to generate sufficient cash to service all our debt or refinance our obligations and may be forced to take other actions to satisfy our obligations under such indebtedness, which may not be successful. We may incur additional debt in the future, which may materially and adversely affect our business financial position, results of operations, and cash flow. Next heading, substantially all of our assets are pledged as collateral to some of our lenders.
What is going on over there?
Yeah. Let's see. Your investment could be illiquid for a long time.
Yes.
You should be prepared to hold this investment for several years or longer. Well, no kidding. You're investing in an automotive company. We may not have enough capital as needed and may be required to raise more capital. Yup. Investing in an automotive manufacturer and a small automotive manufacturer, a startup one, or one that has started up multiple times in the past and gone bankrupt or done some movement of LLCs and ownership is just a terrible idea. Just a terrible idea. I don't care who you are. If you are bored, go look up the SEC filing Form C for Saleen. It is, we face significant market competition. We will compete with larger established companies who currently have products on the market and our various respective product development programs. They have much better financial means in marketing, sales, and human resources than us. The cost of enforcing our trademarks and copyrights could prevent us from enforcing them.
There's so much language like that in there. It's wild to me.
The loss of one or more of our key personnel or our failure to attract and retrain other highly qualified personnel in the future could harm our business.
Which, all of this is really depressing in a sense, because I remember back in the mid 2000s and back into the 90s, all of the stuff Saleen was doing, even in the 80s with all the Fox bodies. I love seeing a Saleen Fox body. They're so cool.
I really do.
There's so many cool things.
And the SN95s. They made really cool cars. And they should not have tried. All these wonderful designers and modifiers go wrong when they say, I'm going to build my own car. That's the beginning of the end for them.
Yes.
Because it costs so much. The company does not control the patents it uses. The company utilizes patented technology in which the patents are held by our founder, Steve Saleen. The company does not have a license agreement in place for the use of those patents. If there is ever a change in the relationship between Steve Saleen and the company, Saleen...
Is he not a part of the company anymore?
We may no longer have access to that patented technology. That is a giant red flag right there.
I gotta be honest, the S1 is a good-looking car.
From the back. Yeah, not from the front.
Oh, Doug isn't a fan.
This is great. I love this part. We have been involved in multiple lawsuits and regulatory actions. Between 2013 and 2019, we, certain of our subsidiaries and predecessors in interest, and Steve Saleen, our CEO and director, were named as defendants in various breach of contract and breach of warranty lawsuits, all of which have been dismissed or settled. But then you have all these random, piddly... in 2023, a judgment amount of $3,800 was entered against us in Iowa Small Claims Court. In October 2017, the Securities and Exchange Commission issued an order revoking the registration of the securities of Saleen Automotive, Inc., a Nevada corporation. So that was a previous company. And if you look at, so there's a bunch of things in here about issues with the SEC in 2016 and 2017. So Saleen Nevada, or Saleen Automotive Inc., the previous company, was publicly traded. And you look at end of 2015, their stock just went to zero. Literally zero. They are subject to a tax lien in the state of Wisconsin for $702. a tax lien in the state of Michigan for $6,800, 6 tax liens in the state of Alabama totaling $4,700, all of which we are in the process of settling. The failure to settle such liens or any future liens could result in a foreclosure on our assets.
Boy. Most of this document is telling you why you shouldn't give them money.
There is no present market for the securities, and we have arbitrarily set the price.
Wait, are those the actual words?
Yes.
I didn't get that far.
That's a heading. Oh, yes.
Oh, man.
These stocks can be diluted. It is. Oh, man. The company does not anticipate paying any cash dividends for the foreseeable future. No kidding.
They might as well have just started a GoFundMe. They just need money.
To put a cap on that one, I came up with a top 10 list of things I trust more than investing in Saleen.
All right. Are these in a particular order?
No.
Okay.
No. Now, the idea is not original, but all of the things I trust are. I stole the idea from somebody else.
I like it.
Here
Let's
we
hear
go. Things I trust more than investing in Saleen. Seafood at a Golden Corral buffet.
Oh.
An unattended chocolate brownie near my wife, kid, or dog. A good review of a Nicolas Cage movie.
What? Okay, yeah, no, that makes sense.
Nickelback. Fred Ashmore.
Yikes.
A fart after eating at Golden Corral. CNN. An Uber driver in an Altima.
Look, you'll get where you're going fast.
And a Boeing 737. Also, Spirit Airlines flight schedule.
Oh, man. So good.
You're welcome. I'm glad I cracked myself up.